It was a resounding victory for Labor on Saturday night. What does this tell us about the broad political direction in Australia?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation now with, as you say, all the mainland states and territories as well as the federal government controlled by the same party. It's just the island state of Tasmania that has a Liberal government now. This is the second time in 120 years that this has happened. You might think that that means policy unity, but at the same time it could cause some difficulties for Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, because now any disagreements between state and federal level are going to take on very much the tone of an internal family dispute. But as for the outgoing government, this election was expected to be close. In the end, it wasn't. It got called just a few hours after polls closed. But the government had been in power for 12 years, so there was very much an its time sort of factor at play here. Time for a change. It had lost two premiers to corruption investigations as well. But as to political direction, well, it's going to mean an end to privatisation of assets. It's going to mean an end to wages caps for civil servants, and maybe a change to the way election campaigns are done here in Australia, because the whole thing was very respectful. Both leaders made note of that, and perhaps providing a template for respectful, policy-driven campaigns in the future.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice everywhere? So move on to another story. Victoria's Labor Premier Dan Andrews is heading to China tonight. So what's the purpose of this visit, Paul?
Yeah, this is an interesting one as well, because of course the state of Victoria had signed up to a couple of Belt and Road agreements with China, and both of those got torn up in 2021 by the Morrison government as Australia-China relations plunged. So Dan Andrews making his first visit to China since that happened. He says that those agreements and the fallout from them are now very much in the past. This is also the first visit by an Australian politician since the AUKUS nuclear submarines deal was agreed. The purpose of it, though, mainly to look after some trade interests, grow the number of Chinese students that study in Victoria, because this is an important source of revenue for the education sector as well. But Dan Andrews has really been criticised over the transparency of this visit. He is taking no local media with them. Any coverage we get is going to be from Chinese state media only. Dan Andrews just defending this by simply saying, well, it's not a picture-friendly trip.